this whole experiment is about what can be done. Is it worth it? So that's a lock washer and a knob tip inside now. I've got to get out. It's all right, I found it. It worked. I'm so pleased with myself. Let me play some back-to-back clips before and after the pickup swap. I think I've got a really nice 335 now. Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. So this is part 5 of our review and upgrade series of this Epiphone ES-335. So if you haven't been following, a quick recap. In part 1, we did a review of this little guitar and it was a bit, So in part 2, we started a little series of simple upgrades. Some very cheap ones and some, fairly cheap ones. And we've mapped out the process in sound comparisons throughout, so you can compare what your money will get you, I suppose. So that involved just literal simple restring, setting up the action intonation, the pickups a little bit, and then replacing the tailpiece and the post with a lightweight aluminium one. That was in part 2. In part 3, we tried a couple of different bridges out and we fettled it a little bit more. And then in part 4, we changed the wiring loom last week. If you want to have a laugh, go back and watch that. We succeeded eventually, 28 days later, I think it was. And then, so we've got a really nice custom-made Monty's wiring loom in this now. And this week we're going to change the pickups as well. So again, the links to all of those parts 1, 2, 3, 4, which are done, gone, in the information box below. It's worth checking out from the beginning if you want to see how the sound of the guitar's evolved. I believe it has. It's sounding sweet now. This is what it sounds like now before we carry on today with our pickups. Here's the loop that you will be familiar with if you've been following so far. Yeah, so it's sounding pretty sweet, isn't it? So what we're going to do now is we're going to unwrap the pickups, the PAFs, hand wound, that we bought from Monty's, £284. So it's an expensive investment in a guitar. So it'd be interesting to see if really that's justified. Some of the cheaper mods that we've done have made a noticeable difference for very few dollars. So it'd be interesting to see if the high dollar investment pays out in tonal differences as well. Because that's quite often the first thing people do is, oh, it's not sounding right, so we'll change the pickups. And I think sometimes the difference isn't as noticeable as people expect. I've certainly been guilty of that. I've changed pickups in the past loads of times and not really kind of got the full benefit. I'm not sure if in isolation it's worth doing, which is kind of why with this project we've done bit by bit, and we've done sound comparisons throughout, so you can hear the difference. You can hear, what that change has made, And I know when I spoke to Matt Gleason at Monty's initially about our earlier project, the Epiphone 59, he said you should change the wiring loom as well. I didn't actually take his advice on that occasion because I thought that the Epiphone 59 already had a fairly good wiring loom in it, which it does. So I just changed the pickups and put some Monty's PAFs in that, and it did sound better. But I'm going to revisit that and muck around with that a little bit more because I think there's some unfinished business there. But as far as this 335 is concerned, we've got a custom-made Monty's wiring loom in it now, and the standard Allen & Co Classic Pro pickups that came with this guitar in it at the moment, and these are Epiphone's version of the 57 Classics, which a lot of people like. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these now and put some Monty's PAFs in, and which should sound super. So let's find out, shall we? All right, back in a minute. I'll have some tools spread out, my soldering iron, my bits and bobs for this operation that we're about to embark on for a second time, because I've actually got to remove this wiring loom again that we put in last week, and just to desolder the pickups and then put it all back in again. So, well, I'm really looking forward to that. See you in a minute. Okay, here we go. Let's prepare it for new pickups. Okay, here we go. Let's just get this thing stripped down again, and we'll get the new pickups in. So it's the beginning of the day, and actually, I mean, obviously quite a nice, good mood at the moment. Looking forward to this. I am quite looking forward to this, actually, bizarrely enough. I don't know why. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of mood I'm in later on this afternoon, whenever I get this finished, won't it? This is a great little method to get your knobs off. If you get my drift. Do you see that? The knob tip just fell off inside. So, so that's a lock washer and a knob tip inside now. I've got to get out. Right. So, as we established in the last episode, that this time it can come out of the pickup cavity, not the F-holes. We don't need to use the F-hole at all. Obviously, we're changing the pickups today, so we need to remove the loom again to solder the pickups onto the these two volume pots. Imagine it would all have to come out. I'm going to take it all out anyway, because I just want to check the integrity of the wiring from last time, because it was pushed and pulled around a bit, and as I say, one of the biggest fears of this is kind of, chopping one of the wires when you're doing it. So okay, so I'm going to do things a little bit differently this time, and hopefully for the better. Hopefully this is going to be a much easier process than it was last week. Hopefully I've learnt from my mistakes, and there will be fewer this time. So I'm going to try some different methods, which we'll talk through in a short while as I do it. Here you are again. So we'll just remove the pickup again, and I'll just show you again that there is the there's the cavity, for which we're going to feed all the loom in and out again, which we didn't know existed. And again, if you haven't watched last week's, you should go back, because so many people are using the F-hole and we're not really sure why. Okay. So, right, now, what we're going to do this time is try a couple of different methods to locate where the pots go back in. Recommended now by quite a few people is the plastic tubing method, which I can see why this is likely to work. So basically we have to feed the loom out and then we have to pull it back to the holes. Now I can see why this might work. Let me just see first of all whether or not the nuts will go over the tubing, because that's the first potential hurdle with this particular tubing that I've got, which I thought would be all hunky-dory. Will it? Yeah, there you go. So that works so far. So that'll be the thing. Now, I'm not going to connect them while we take it out, because I'm pretty confident, because this is stiff, I'm be able to feed it through the holes up through the pickup cavity to connect it to the ones I want to connect it to when I feed it back in. So I'm gonna just pull that off for now. Not required now. Let's just loosen all of these up. Get it out. See which one comes first. Yeah, that's... Oh yeah, I've got a secret weapon this time as well. Some forceps. It worked. I'm so pleased with myself. Well, it's certainly come out a lot easier this time, hasn't it? Oops, that's a locking washer I just dropped on the floor, excuse me. Must remember the old locking washers this time. So what have I got? 1, 2, 3. Okay. And there'll be one inside. So I've got one missing, so there might be 2 inside. Okay. So a few people have also suggested that it might be easier to cut the wires and splice in the new pickups while the loom's still inside. And yeah, it would definitely be easier. I just couldn't do it. I just feel like I'd be drummed out of the brownies if I did something as kind of bodgy as that, with, you know, thousands of people potentially going, no, don't do that. I know, but actually lots and lots of people have said, yeah, do it, it'd be easier. But I think there'd be a lot of people who would support that. And I'm sure it would work fine. I mean, these are braided as well, braided wires, so they're only 2 conductor wire that's coming out anyway. So I guess there's no reason why you couldn't do it. I mean, it would, I don't know, I couldn't do it. Sorry, couldn't do it. I'm going to go the hard way, make it hard for myself. Just wittering a little bit while the soldering iron warms up. So all I've got to do is, so if I remember that the bridge is the one on the far end of the switch, could you remind me if I forget? Because I'm bound to. But it all looks, the wiring all looks sort of intact still. So let's see if it is still once I've done my worst with the soldering iron. Where's my little pliers? I should go and get my little pliers. So I've just remembered I've got this fan-dabby-dozy little clamp that might make it easier to just hold the pots in place, or it might not. It might just make it harder. Oops. Let's find out. As you can see, the ground wire is still connected, or I hope you can see. The ground wire is still connected to the bridge volume control. I've now got a loosage on that, so I'm also going to unscrew and remove. Oh, there you go. There's another one of my locking washers. That's 4. I only got one missing still. Here we go. So that just is a little channel from the neck pickup. There you go. Neck pickup out. So I think I've just discovered what the difference between short-legged and long-legged pickups are. Oh, you can see that, I hope. I've got enough cameras, so you should be able to. The legs, look, see the legs are different. The legs are short and are long. Short legs, long legs. Short legs, long legs. So that's interesting. Not a problem. No, the difference is obviously the springs, the original springs are going to be too short to put enough tension, I suppose, on the pickups, which is fine because Monty's include in this little pack here that we unopened earlier. It says H. I don't know. They include some new screws and springs, so it'd be pretty straightforward. Nothing straightforward in this job, obviously, is it? So it's that way around. Just even remembering which way the pickups go around is it's not straightforward. Do pay attention if you decide to do this, because you'll be very pleased with yourself. It'll all go back together. It'll be brilliant. And then you'll realise that you've got one of the pickups the wrong way around. That's been a good thing, I suppose, isn't it, in the past? Right, so let me just whack this back on. As I've said before, very difficult not to fire the spring across the room. So I've got this kind of little technique where I pinch it in the end of my pliers and then I line it up literally in the hole and I hold on to it still. I'm not letting go, I'm just, fuck. It's all right, I found it. That's hilarious. I've got to hunt for the screw now. I know it's still in there. It's all right, the screw's still in there. So Now, as I was saying, so I've got this little technique. Oh no. Let's try again. Okay. Does someone know how the right way of doing this? Does everyone have this problem? Is there a special tool or something that I'm not aware of? It's not having it today, is it? I don't know. I was just thinking how funny it would be if I just noticed that I'd actually screwed the old pickup back in by mistake. I haven't, but it would be funny, wouldn't it? Right, so we have new pickupage in the hole. Pretty sure that's the right way round. Now I'm going to trim the wire same length as the old one, so I've got that alongside me here. I mean, I might just leave it a tiny little bit longer. So let's go there. I think this is the point where I need to test it. Let's make sure all my knobs are up. I did have a little setback there. One of the pickups wasn't working, and I discovered that I think that the hot wire on the neck pickup was just touching the earth, so I'm just going to put a little bit of insulating tape between those connections to kind of try and stop that from happening. So I think that once you start, you know, feeding this thing back in and poking around and whatnot, the odds of you know, wires crossing and getting earth hums and whatnot, I think are incredibly high. Which really means, you know, taking it out again. So I'm just gonna, because I know that there was an issue with that, I'm just gonna put a bit of insulating tape across the back of that one. And actually I turned the cameras off because I don't want to waste hard drive space, but what I did, so that pickup wasn't working, so like an idiot, I spent 5 minutes probably mucking around with this one, which is the bridge. I desoldered it, soldered it back, couldn't see anything wrong, and then I realised it was because I was mucking around with the wrong one. Idiot. What I didn't do. I didn't get me fucking locking washer out, did I? And me tip. While I had the chance. Oh no. What a twat. This should be fun. Oh no. Ah, there you go. Honestly, I thought I was going to have to desolder the pickups again and shake the guitar around to get those out. There you go. Top tool. Forceps. Okay. Disaster averted. I have now, I believe, got 5 locking washers and a tip, and there's nothing inside that I'm aware of. And the bridge fell off, obviously. Let's put that back so I don't muck around too much with the action. So I've got this earth wire, yeah, it's just some copper wire that I've got from obviously very easy to locate where you want it to be. The theory being you can just bend it over so it will grip. Just bend it over like that, and then you should be able to just pull it out. I watched a guy doing this on YouTube last night, and it worked for him, so we'll see. Famous last words. Right, I'm making a dog's dinner of this, but I think I'm making progress. Now is the time to roll out the tubing, and this is the one. Of course, I did obviously put it on the wrong one, didn't I? But it's quite easy to work with. I'm pretty sure that's on the right one now. But it's quite easy to work with. Famous last words. So we've got them all up. An issue I've got here is I've put the locking washer on the jack this time, and it won't. It's not a big enough jack to go through the hole. It's so I'm going to need to take the locking washer off, and I can't for the life of me work out how I'm going to do that. without pulling the wire out. And you know what happens if I do that? Right. Okay. So, yeah, no. Okay, so it was better. It was a lot better. It was a lot less tanglage, but still a bit. But these are my top tip. These are really useful because you can kind of get inside and just kind of organise stuff with them. The biggest problem I had, again, was with the jack. What I've discovered is that with the lock washer on, and it didn't have last time because it was rattling around inside as you heard last time. With the lock washer on, this jack socket isn't deep enough to go through the body. The body's too thick, so it's kind of too short. So you should watch out for that because I had to end up fishing around again. What I had to do then was, obviously I had it on a hook with the lock washer on. So how am I going to get the lock washer off? So I had no choice. I had to let it go, shake the lock washer off, which I managed to do. But then fortunately with this stuff, it's obviously got a little hook. So it was a lot easier this time to actually hook it back up through. And I jammed it with a pair of scissors to hold it while I quickly put the nut on. So there it is. It's all back in one piece. And I've just tested it and thank God they all work. So it's back in. It's only taken me a couple of hours this time. So, and if I don't probably won't show you all of it, but I put rubber tubing on these two bottom ones and a wire on that one. And these I managed to kind of locate with a bit of help of the forceps and luck, and they've all got the lock washer, and I was able to, well in fact these ones were already on, so you've always got, I think they've all got lock washers on. I think that was a spare that I thought would go on that, but it doesn't go on the switch, so there you go. We have new pickups in it. So what I'm going to do is put some strings on it, and then we'll adjust the pickups, and then we'll see what they sound like. How exciting. I wasn't too bad. I still wouldn't recommend doing it yourself. I really wouldn't. It's hard work. It's really quite hard work. And you do have to have patience, and if you haven't, you know, broken guitars, a lot of broken guitars out there, I reckon. Okay, let's put some strings on and make some noise. Right, hello, here we are again. I think this is the final step, which is quite exciting. We're back with guitars all back together. It works still, which is good, and it's got a new set of Ernie Ball slinkies on it again. Now I've adjusted the new pickups. It's got new pickups in. It's now got the Monty's PAFs in, as you just saw. Now I've adjusted the pickup heights. So a word on pickup heights. So I've kind of looked into it a little bit more. I've learned a little bit more about it since, well, it was episode 2 probably of this series, which isn't that long ago, but it seems like a lifetime, quite frankly. Now, I'm going to put a link in the description box below. There's a fabulous YouTube video on pickup height adjustment by Throbak Guitar Lounge, who obviously Throbak make pickups, and there's a really good film that the owner of Throbak, John, has made, showing how he does his pickup height adjustment, and it all seems to make quite a lot of sense. It's done by the ear really, but there's a kind of a a way to do it, and he talks through that in great detail, and he also gives some starting point pickup height, you know, settings. These are for obviously humbuckers, PAFs. But it's very helpful, so I'll put the link in the description box below. Working on what he shows you, I've set these pickups by ear, and you know, his starting points. So and I've played around, and I'm happy with the balance between them and the output from them. The neck pickup I've set at 3mm, and that's from the top of the pole piece to the string, with the strings open, no capo or pressure on. So from the top of the pole piece to the string on the high E on the neck pickup is 3mm, and on the low E string on the neck pickup is 3.5mm from the string to the top of the pole piece, and on the neck and on the bridge pickup, and on the bridge pickup on the high E it's 2mm, and on the low E it's 2.5mm. So that gives me a kind of a nice kind of balance between the two pickups. This is what it now sounds like. Well, it sounds good. It sounds good, that's for sure. Does it sound any different from before? Well, let's go and have a listen. Let's go and have a listen and find out. Have a listen, have a compare. And we'll come back and we'll discuss. See if these pickups have made much difference. Any difference? Loads of difference? Who knows? I mean, it sounds great. I'm looking forward to playing this now properly, but I'm not at the moment, because I'm going to go and look at this stuff and then come back and look, if you know what I mean. Yeah, see you in a minute. Well, there's a difference. You can hear the difference. So let me play some back-to-back clips before and after the pickup swap today, and have a listen and see what you think. So you can hear the difference for sure. To me, it's sounding a little bit more articulate. I think that's the word that people use for PAFs. So I'm going to steal that word for my description. It kind of fits. A little bit more articulate, a little bit more. It's a little bit brighter again. It's a little bit brighter again. But there's not a massive difference. There's not a massive difference. And I think that's my experience with pickup changes. You expect, wow, you know, massive thing, but it's a lot more subtle than that. It's a lot more subtle than that. And I think it's more to it than just, you know, hearing a couple of little sound samples. It's about how the controls work with the pickup when you're playing it, and we'll do I'm going to say a good little play out in a minute. We'll try and do a good little play out. It might be a rubbish little play out, but we'll do a play out and we'll try and go through the controls a little bit and see what it sounds like in context, in anger, which is, you know, what they're designed for. They're not designed to just sit there and strum a couple of chords and then try and, you know, judge what sounds better. Now, I think that, you know, the key thing with this particular job was that the cost of it was, you know, £284 these pickups come in at. So it's a very expensive modification. And, you know, not whether or not it's justified, only you can decide. There's what I was going to say about having a really nice set of pickups in a guitar like this is it, and I felt the same way, and I feel the same way about the Epiphone 59 when we put the Montes in that. It made a difference, but you could quite easily go back to what you had before and be happy, be satisfied with that guitar. But what I feel is that having the boutique pickups, having these high-end pickups in a guitar, a lot of the difference is in the feel, in the way that I feel about it, about the guitar. And I think maybe that goes to a little bit like how I feel, or used to feel maybe, about having the name Gibson on the headstock. I suppose there's something about, you know, when you're wearing a nice pair of trainers that makes you feel good about yourself, makes you feel a little bit superior, that you've got the best out there. Definitely having all this nice kit in this guitar makes me feel better about it. It's a bit wanky maybe, but I'm just being upfront. You know, it's kind of nice to have nice things sometimes, and having nice pickups, you know, you can't get any better than that, can you? So you go, okay, cool. It's this guitar with the upgrades cost, I mean, the whole upgrades on this guitar now will weigh in at as much as the guitar, which is crazy, but it was only it was less than £500 guitar anyway, £489, and all of the upgrades have cost an additional £484. So it's a little bit under £1,000. I'm just doing my sums. Yeah, a little bit under £1,000 for what should be a great sounding guitar now. We'll find out in the play out if I'm having a good day, I suppose. But you know, I guess the thing is, well, I think what we've definitely established is that don't go spending nearly 300 quid on a set of pickups expecting it to transform your guitar, because it isn't likely to. Will it improve it? Yeah, it will. Subjectively, but yeah, it'll make it that much better. But if you go back to the beginning of this series in episodes 2 and 3, that's where the most significant changes were made to the actual sound of the guitar for, you know, low dollar amounts. So if you haven't seen those, go back and, you know, spend some time looking at that before you go and rush out and buy high-end pickups. And I'm saying this, I know that Matt Gleason, who made these at Monty's, will probably agree with me, because when we spoke to him, you know, a while back, he said the most important upgrades that you can do to your guitar is the setup. So the strings and the pickup adjustments, what you've already got, before you go spending, you know, more money on it. And obviously the cheaper things like the tailpiece and the bridge can take the sound in a slightly different direction, so they're worth exploring before you start changing the wiring in the pickups. But then if you want to go the whole hog and you say, well, look, I've spent less than $1,000 on this, I think I've got a really nice 335 now. And it's a no-brainer compared to the Gibson, which is $2,500. You know, it's 1,500 quid cheaper. I can go and buy 2 or 3 more great guitars, and I've still got a great 335 and 2 or 3 more great guitars, as opposed to an expensive Gibson that might be a little bit of a liability. So I would say, you know, I can't test it alongside the Gibson because I can't afford to go and buy one. But I'd say it'd be an interesting experiment to see if it stacks up. And I know the wood's different, and I know it's got a scarf joint in the neck, and I know that according to lots of people on YouTube, the frets are crap and the tuners will fall off and all that nonsense. It's not true. Epiphones nowadays are really well made, albeit in China at a cost. The electrics on this were great to start with. If you started out with this guitar, just change the strings and it's great. If you want to go a little bit further and try out some of the things that we've done, you can do that as well. Everyone's a winner. The people that go and spend $2,500 on a Gibson are a winner because they'll feel great about themselves and they'll feel that they won't need to do anything. And then they'll discover they've got to replace the nut anyway, which is not something we've had to do on this. But you know what I mean, it's all of this is subjective. It's all about, this whole experiment is about what can be done. Is it worth it? You decide whether it's worth it. We've had a little bit of fun on the way, and hopefully I've learned some great stuff from this. I've learned stuff. I have really genuinely learned stuff, which is great, about pickup adjustments, about some ways you might want to replace the wiring looms, the effects of these nice bridges and this hardware here, and but probably the most important lesson is not to tackle a project quite as long as this again for a little while, because I don't want to alienate you people out there who want guitar reviews. Next week we're going to be back with a guitar review of this. I got an Epiphone Casino. And broken now. Whoops, sorry. So we're going to review that next week. I'm looking forward to that. That's great. I've given the game away. So let's wrap this up. Yeah, there you go. End of part 5. End of our journey down the ES-335 rabbit hole of Epiphone upgrades. I hope you've enjoyed some of this. There have been some good bits, I think. There have probably been some not so good bits. I think it's all been all right, hasn't it? It's been all right. I've enjoyed your company. Thanks ever so much for sticking with us. And see you next week. All right. Cheers for now.